Okay, so I'm going to be recording the question 3, which is a really hard question to answer, and it's taken me really long to actually research it. But what has helped me into answering this question is this book called The Radio Handbook by Carlisle Fleming. It has all the information on local, national, and commercial radio news, and how the companies distribute it, and how they have algorithms that gather the news and distribute them. So one of the institutions that gather news and distribute it to commercial radio stations one of them is the IRN, which I'll talk about more in detail in my question, and the other one is the RNS, which is owned by the BBC, and that gives them the news. So here, let me answer the question. Inspire. Okay, so the question is, what media institutions will distribute your media product and why? Right, the first one as you can see, there are 3 media institutions here, but they don't distribute radio. Let me just explain what these do. Steam distribute video games such as GTA 5, Destiny, and Halo. Universal Music Group distribute music, but they also distribute films. As you can see, this symbol is very familiar. And Netflix is very, very popular with young people, and they distribute TV shows and films. One TV show I know of is Daredevil, another one is Breaking Bad, which is very popular with young adults and young teens. Okay, so those are all media institutions, but none of them distribute radio news. So how does a small radio station get the news every day and every hour when there are only 2 or 1 people working there? So commercial radio news stations only have 2 or 1 people working there. So like entertainment such as like Kiss or Capital, they probably have 3 or 2 people working there. Alright, first of all, before they even start to distribute anything, they would need a official permission to distribute, so a license. So say, if someone's 21, a 21-year-old would need a license to drive a car. Same with radio stations, whether commercial, local, or even national, they would need a license from Ofcom to distribute them in the UK. Let's just look at Ofcom right now. Ofcom. Where's Ofcom? Alright. Ofcom. Okay, radio broadcasting licensing. So, community radio, restricted service, analog, commercial radios, every radio company that distribute news in the UK would need a license from Ofcom. Even BBC, anything, BBC Scotland, anything like that, even local TV stations need licensing to distribute them in in the UK. As part of our research in answering this question, I'm using the Radio Academy Knowledge Bank to find out more about the radio industry in the UK and local radio news in particular. So commercial radio in London, such as Capital, Kiss FM, Magic, Heart, LBC, all have a link in the Radio Academy. So if we just look at that, so even national commercial radio station. So Classic FM, Absolute Radio, and Talk Sport. Commercial radio doesn't have to be local. It can be national, it can be local, and it can be it can be international. That's something that you can argue. So these are all the popular commercial stations in London. So you might know Kiss, you might know Magic, Heart, and Capital London. LBC is another one that you might not know of, but it's a very good one. Just go on Kiss right now, or in Capital FM. See how the news based in London and news from the world. So they gather news and they distribute them. So that's news, entertainment sector. So music, anything to do with entertainment. So you see Rihanna, Usher, Taylor Swift. I don't know who that guy is. So let me just go back to the question. Okay, so by looking at LBC News at the Radio Academy, which I linked to LBC Radio News, I noticed that they have the same type of topics that are in local radio stations. So if we just look at LBC right now, you'll see all these news topics are London based, and some of them are from the world. And that one right there about Boris Johnson, that would be in local radio news stations. So they have the news and they distribute it. They just give it out for free. Okay, but how do they even get the news? Well, they don't. The IRN, they gather the news and then they distribute it through local and international news stations, and it's provided by them, or the RNS. Okay, so the IRN, they use algorithms. Like I said before, I use this book to understand more about algorithms and how they are collected. So if we go to the IRN is not here at the moment. Let me just click on it. The Independent Radio News. Alright, so the news service heard by 26 million listeners to commercial radio in the UK. So they gather the news using algorithms. They gather the news all around the world, from national and international. So here you can see there's a news item about Nepal, the earthquakes, and David Cameron, and politics, science, Greece, and so forth. So the IRN are a very important industry. And look, their clients, they distribute news towards all these stations: Capital FM, Classic FM, Heart, Juice FM, LBC, Gold, Peak, Pulse, Radio Wave, and so many more. So they distribute them to commercial radio stations, popular radio stations in London and in the UK. Also Reuters. Reuters is another one, which stands for the Reuters is not Reuters, the RNS. Wait, Reuters, yeah, Reuters. Sorry. Look, see, they gather the news using algorithms, and that's really important because it's not people, it's computers. Computers use algorithms and collect it from all around the world or even national, and then they distribute it through parts of the UK, so South London, North London, or West London, or anywhere. I mean parts of Britain, so North Britain, South Britain, and etc. And as you can see, they collect news around the world and internationally. So the same like the IRN, they have news from Greece, David Miliband, politics, so London, Germany, and Thailand. So these news items would be seen in local radio stations and in commercial radio stations. Yeah, definitely. National commercial radio stations and even local commercial radio stations. Okay, unfortunately I had a video right here, but it doesn't seem to be working. If you just press play, it doesn't seem to be working. And there, me and my group, we talked about algorithms and the IRN and how they provide the news. So the IRN provides news to local radio stations, both internationally and nationally. They would be the ones in charge of giving out the news from different regions in the UK, and use algorithms to distribute to give out the right news for companies such as Capital FM to distribute. So like I said before, they use companies using computers. And if I just read this book right now, you'll see that out here it says, as well as the station's own Newsnet diary, the Press Association publishes a diary prospectus list showing all the major stories they are covering that day, and on local stations that is supplemented with prospects list from either IRN for most commercial stations or the RNS regional news service at the BBC. In most cases, national or international news on the local radio station is provided by either the RNS or the IRN. The BBC's RNS is serviced by correspondents all over the world, as well as through the BBC network of local stations throughout Britain, who keep it supplied with audio and text which are sent on a circuit to the BBC's regional and local stations, usually on the BBC system known as the ENPS, Electronic News Provision Service. So the BBC also have the RNS, which is the regional news service, which can be located in Reuters from before. Here, and like the RN, they collect news all around the world and in Britain. So they distribute it all around the world. So like if you may have heard of BBC US, the RNS collects the news and they distribute it. They give it to them, and then the BBC News, they talk about the news and sell it and distribute it. So it's done by computers because people can't broadcast the news and collect the news at the same time, because it will take really long, because the amount of news that comes in every day, every hour and every week is such a long time. Because that's how commercial radio news stations work. The IRN, they collect the news for them. They don't collect it themselves. The IRN collect it and then they distribute it. So like I said before, they got thousands of news stories transmitted, and it's simply impossible for people to send news at these areas, as there are a lot of information that needs to be distributed and not a lot of time. Okay, so one other media institution is the BBC News, which provides global as well as local news. There are thousands of news being distributed every day in England, Scotland and Wales. All of the news that is in the BBC is for everyone, whether it's local, international or global. The BBC distribute it. So like I said before, they have the RNS, who gather important news, and then they give it to the BBC. So it's owned by the BBC basically. One other media institution is Bauer Media, who owns entertainment companies such as Kiss, Heat, Cool FM, Radio City and many more. These companies are all in the entertainment sector, as they are widely known for their music and they relate to everyone who's got a radio in their car or phones, which has different stations. So if we look at Bauer Media, you can see the Bauer Media reaches 22 million UK adults every week, and they own Kiss, Gaza, Empire, Magic and Absolute Radio. So like I said, like you saw before, Absolute Radio is a national commercial radio station, and the IRN gives it news, but it's owned by Bauer Media. So all these are the Bauer Media brands. And they're very popular. Like you may have heard of some of these, like Heat and Kiss and music. Even music, they are very popular. And here, if you would, there was a video to play, but it's not working unfortunately. Like I said before, these are national commercial radio stations. Empire is a news magazine, so they own that. That's a media product still, and Bauer Media, they rely on the IRN to gather the news and give it to them so they can distribute it. The BBC is there. The BBC have national and local and international news. So like David Cameron, and if you go on radio, you can see all these news items. They have entertainment sectors that some of them are commercial and some of them are local and worldly. So the news is talking about the world as well as national news. Right, so algorithms are really important. ENPS, which is the computer system for the BBC, that helps them distribute the news. At the ENPS, they gather the news, they give it to them, and they distribute it. So it's really important for them to have computer systems that give them news so they can distribute it. Okay, so the important question left is, why would media institutions distribute our media product? Well, it's very simple really. They would distribute our media product because in order to make money. That's the main goal, to make money. So thousands of news items that are distributed make money. That is the key important thing. That's why I think that the BBC will distribute our news item, as it's local, and it can be commercial. Like, you can argue that something can be local and commercial, and national and commercial. The BBC is Absolute Radio, that is national commercial, but Kiss FM is commercial but only in London. But it depends on what region in London. So the important fact is to make money. If you look at the websites, you'll notice that these news items, they make money. This company makes money, so they would be the ones to distribute our local radio news item, or the BBC. The BBC has loads of national and commercial and local news stations. So even in Scotland, they have very local news stations, more than they do in London. But I'd say they would be the ones to distribute our radio. So even LBC, which is very important. Okay, thank you for listening to this question. I hope I explained the question well on Reuters and algorithms and computer systems, and how that it's hard for people to do it. So that's why they use computers, because it's much easier and quicker. And that's how every news station gets the news, whether it be commercial, local, or national, or even international. They have a computer system that gathers the news around the world, and they give it to them so they can distribute it.